Hello everybody, today we will be taking a look at the official and complete guide for Animal Crossing New Horizons. I have been waiting for this book to be available for a while now, and I'm so happy and excited to finally have it here with me. For those of you that may have not known this, it is the second and final guidebook published by FuturePress, and it retails for $54.99 US. It includes the Happy Home Paradise DLC content, seasonal events, and everything in the 2.0 update. This copy is a hardcover and it is protected by a book sleeve that has the same cover art as the game. When we remove the sleeve, we are going to see a beautiful monochromatic white and blue book covered by the iconic leaf print. And just like the sleeve, the book is soft touch with glossy spots to give some contrast and make the designs pop. As soon as you open the book, you will see a welcome message by the FuturePress team, followed by the table of contents. The book has 7 different chapters, them being Guide to Island Living, Characters and Events, The Great Outdoors, DIY and Customization, Terraforming and Island Design, Happy Home Paradise, and the Catalog. Before jumping into Chapter 1, the book does provide a year-at-a-glance section, which includes a list of the game's updates. It explains the free bookmarks that it included, and it has the monthly calendars. Each calendar has villager birthdays, Nook shopping events, seasonal materials, holidays and events, and all the in-season fish, sea creatures, bugs, and even star fragments. So Chapter 1 is all about the basics of the game and getting started. It goes over the game controls, goals, and story progression. It includes a very detailed checklist that is chunked into 4 main sections, and it is going to be extremely useful for new players. These sections are setting up camp, building the museum, island expansion, and Project K. Then it goes into more basics like tools, daily tasks, and all the Nook phone apps, island rating, and even playing with others. This chapter is clearly aimed for beginners, but I still found tons of very useful information like the score guide to Happy Home Academy and the Nook mileage milestones checklist. This chapter really dives into the different characters you can interact with and where to find them. It gives you helpful information like how to spot a fake from red, how dream islands work, and the possible stock market patterns. However, the biggest and probably most useful chunk of this chapter is the list of villagers. This list is organized alphabetically by species and provides a small profile for each, including their name, birthday, catchphrase, room photo, and more. Once you get past this big list, we have the holidays and events section, and depending on the event or holiday, it gives you tips and tricks on how to complete the event, lists the items that you can win or purchase during the event, and when the event takes place. Living up to its name, Chapter 3 goes over different seasons, weather, flora, critters, and fossils. If it's found outside, it will be found in here. Hands down, the best part of this chapter has to be the critters list. All 3 of them are different, but to use the fish one as an example, it includes the spawn location, shadow size, difficulty, unlock requirements, and selling price. Each one has its own occurrence guide as well, which is probably the most detailed guide I've seen so far, even though I'm constantly looking at the legend to understand it. The chapter ends with mystery tour and boat tours, which I found a bit odd, but I'll keep those thoughts for the end. Here you will find everything you need to know about DIYs and even more. The chapter goes over things like where you can find them, materials you need, where and when you can craft, and it gives a long list of DIY recipes with the actual materials needed for each. This list is pretty handy, especially for people who like to plan in advance like myself and like to make lists of everything that you need before getting it. The other half of the chapter gives you information over customization, and it explains everything from customizing your tools and furniture to customizing the exterior of your home. If you're in the process of restarting your island or flattening it to change themes, then this chapter is for you. Once it goes over the basics of terraforming, it gives tons of tips and ideas for designing your island. The best part of the chapter is the island by motif, in other words, island core or theme. Not only does it give you the motif and a picture of what it looks like, it also gives you a list of items that go really well with that motif. I'm currently in the process of redesigning my island, so I can definitely see myself coming back to this chapter a lot. Since Happy Home Paradise is essentially its own game in a way, this chapter could have been its own guidebook. The chapter includes 2 maps, the new characters and locations, and a long list of all the items that you can buy at the shop, and even gives you ideas for planning and designing vacation homes. However, the best and most useful part of this chapter is of course the story progression checklist. I really like how the checklist has all the information within it and it doesn't ask you to go to other pages for more information, unlike the list from chapter 1. I still haven't finished its DLC, so I'm excited to read and learn more about the game while I'm still playing it. With over 300 pages, we finally have the catalog. And before jumping into this massive list of items, the chapter kindly goes over the different types of furniture and how to interact with them. Every single catalog item has a picture of the item and its variations, the cost, function, how to obtain it, and it even tells you the size. Of course, items like clothing or critters will not have all of this information since they're not pieces of furniture. However, they provide all the information possible. The chapter even includes bonus lists like the TV guide, reactions, and amiibos. And although it is fun to go through all these lists and items, I have to admit that I found it a bit impractical to use. A list this large should probably have a search feature that sadly books do not have. And the closest thing that we could have is an index. However, that would take hundreds of pages and it would end up being just as impractical as the list itself. Is it worth it? Well, I'm gonna give it a 4.5 based on quality, design, organization, content, and price. There is no doubt in my mind that this book was carefully crafted by people who enjoy and love the game. However, I cannot call it a complete guide. I want to start off with the quality of the print itself. The book I received was in great condition, which I understand it's not really up to them, but I'm gonna take it into consideration because the materials are of high quality and the book feels nice and sturdy. Therefore, it's gonna get 5 stars there. Next up, we have the design. The book stays true to the Animal Crossing theme, using similar colors, shapes, and serif fonts to those in the game. It has tons of pictures, which I am a huge fan of, and from a graphic design perspective, it is extremely cohesive, so no brainer, 5-star for design. Now here's where I start having some issues. Organization. I only took half a star for this category only because I feel like I might be nitpicking, but some of the placement choices I found very odd. For example, in chapter 2, we introduced the museum, but it doesn't include the checklist for the fossils nor the critters. But with chapter 2, we introduce Kix, and it does give you a checklist for all of his inventory. Another very big random list is the vacation home vision list that is in the catalog. This is so clearly misplaced here, and it should have been with the Happy Home Paradise chapter, but again, I might just be nitpicking and trying to duck some points off. Now, the reason I do not consider this a complete guide is because it missed to include the one reason why I really wanted to get the book, which is villager home exteriors. I've looked everywhere in this book and I cannot find pictures of the villagers' homes. It only includes the inside of their home in chapter 2, but no exteriors to be found. The closest thing that I found was the exterior options for vacation homes. However, this does not help me when looking for specific colors or themes for my island. I think it's justified me taking a whole star just because they are claiming to be a complete guide and I was able to find something that they are missing. Finally, we have the price, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the book retails for $54.99 US, which is not bad considering you get tons of information and the book is a collector's item. However, the reason it's getting 4 stars is because you can find most of this information for free on the internet, and $54.99 is not cheap for the average person. So is it worth it? Well, it is for me. It has tons of useful information and a bunch of checklists that I can use. It's also a really good collector's item to have, so if you love Animal Crossing, I highly suggest getting your own copy, which I'll have a link to in my video description. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for being here. I know this video is a bit different from my usual content, but I'll have more Animal Crossing gameplay next Monday.